I would like to begin this morose transmission with a poem. John Sixpence, a man of two lives, with poor skills to protect and good to deceive. As a pretend close protection officer, his duty to survive. As a fake medium, to believe. With off-target instincts, he walks the beat, stalking his client day and night. But when the double speak is done, a new role he'll complete, conning the vulnerable with his bad insight. But beware, for his luck will run out someday, and justice will catch up to his crimes. For all the fake seances and the games he'll play, his punishment, the end of his chimes. So let it be a lesson to all who seek the truth, to be cautious of those who claim to know. For in a world of scams, it's easy to abuse the vulnerable and their faith in the unknown. Marines! Before we get stuck into the reasons why we're here, I would like to share my feelings about fraudulent psychic mediums. You see, there are many vulnerable people out there who are searching for answers, searching for comfort, and searching for hope. And these fraudulent psychic mediums, they prey on that vulnerability. They offer false hope, false promises, and false messages from the beyond. These charlatans claim to have a connection with the other side, and they use this false connection to brainwash their victims. They manipulate their emotions. They make them believe things that are not true, and they leave them with a false sense of comfort. And the worst part is, these vulnerable people become addicted to these false messages, to these false promises, and they can't see the truth for what it really is. They are caught in a cycle of deceit, and it can have a devastating effect on their lives. So, I implore you, be cautious of these fraudulent psychic mediums. Don't let them take advantage of your vulnerability. Don't let them manipulate your emotions and thoughts. Don't let them lead you down a path of false hope and false comfort, that their messages are anything more than cleverly crafted tricks and illusions. So, my glorious subscribers, protect yourself from these fraudulent psychic mediums. Don't let them brainwash you. Don't let them take advantage of you. And never forget, the only real source of comfort and hope is within yourself. Now, with that out of the way, we move towards deciphering our first dream together. Or is it a nightmare? You be the judge. The Callous found himself in a peaceful and serene environment in Afghanistan. He noticed a small toilet nearby and decided to take a bath. As he relaxed in the brown and yellow feces, he suddenly spotted a giant bug floating towards him. At first, he was frightened, but then he remembered that he was in a toilet and he has the power to flush. He calmed his nerves and used his powers to make the bug completely harmless. The bug became docile and curious, and it began to examine the Callous. He had a sense that it was trying to communicate in its own way, special way. He listened carefully and soon realized that the bug is trying to show him something. He followed the bug towards the other side of the U-bend, to a hidden area where he discovered a beautiful and vibrant ecosystem that has been untouched by the outside world. The giant bug is the guardian of this special place, as it has allowed the Callous to see, only because it sensed that he was a friend. He spent some time exploring this new and magical world, learning about the plants, the animals, and the other bugs that live there. He left feeling refreshed and smelling of absolute shit, and grateful for the unique experience that he had had in the toilet. He continued to trespass in a hidden ecosystem, and felt a deep connection with that natural, stinky world. He learned about the delicate balance that exists between all living things and how important it is to protect it. As he left the area, he walked past a shower basin. Or a bath. Was it? Was it a bath? Shower toilet? Or shower bath?
Can't remember.
Can't remember. He took a picture on his phone and automatically erased the metadata instantly. He woke up feeling energized and inspired. The experience in this first dream has left a lasting impression on him, and he now feels determined to make a positive change in the world. So he went fucking ranting. Which now leads us into the second dream, or nightmare, about someone called John. John was an imaginary close protection officer who had been tasked with saving the lives of 2 US generals in Afghanistan. He was a poorly trained and unexperienced professional, but he had never been in a situation quite like this before. He was nervous, but determined to succeed. One night, John went to masturbate before bed in his tent. Exhausted from a long day of listening to genuine close protection officers' stories in the canteen. After shooting his load with all the force of Mary Berry's icing piper,
I have finally succumbed to a blowtorch.
he closed his eyes and almost immediately found himself transported to a strange and frightening world. He was standing in a dark, dusty street in Kabul, and all around him were buildings that had been destroyed by war. He was surrounded by the sounds of gunfire and shouting, and he realized that he was in the middle of a battle yet to take place. The fall of Kabul, 2021. As he looked around in confusion, he suddenly heard a voice speaking to him.
Oh, you must protect the lives of the 2 US generals,
The voice said.
They are in grave danger, and their lives are in your sausage fingers.
It besmirched. John tried to find the generals, but he was quickly surrounded by the Mujahideen. He fought as best he could, but he was vastly outnumbered and hindered by his oxygen tanks. He was starting to lose hope when he suddenly heard the voice again.
You must use your training to protect the lives of the generals.
The voice said.
They are counting on your bloating and your gaslighting.
It bloated. John steeled himself instantly and pushed forward, fighting through the enemy, who were now called the Taliban, or some shit like that, and finally reaching the room where the generals were being held. He fought his way inside, remembering to clear each doorway with a thunder flash. At this point, he didn't care about IEDs, dug into walls or into the door jars. He also didn't care about clearing away any IEDs that were constructed mostly from wood. He cleared those rooms with a similar speed to the regiment. Only John did it quicker, of course. When he eventually fought his way into the room that was holding the VIPs, only to find the 2 US generals, or VIPs that he was supposed to protect, were actually demons in disguise. The demons turned on John, and he realised that he'd been set up by the Mujahid Taliban. He was trapped, and the demons were closing in. He tried to fight them, but he was quickly overpowered, and his large body was eaten for months. John realised that he was actually in a nightmare. He woke up in a cold sweat and covered in warm urine. He woke up in a cold sweat, covered in warm piss, feeling more alone and scared than ever before. He knew that he needed to focus on building computers and editing videos, but the nightmare of the 2 US generals never really went away. Now, this next dream is very important. It happened just 4 years later. I know, right? Fucking spooky science. John was a computer programmer living in the UK. He was highly unskilled and hated his work. But lately, he had been feeling more and more pissed off, stressed and overwhelmed. Despite his best efforts to stay focused and productive, he found himself plagued by strange and unsettling food cravings, like ice cream sandwiches and eating mud. One night, John went to his tent feeling particularly furious. He closed his eyes and immediately found himself transported to a strange and dark world again. He was standing in the middle of a vast and empty desert, and all around him were towering computer servers and rows of glowing computer screens. As he looked around in confusion, he suddenly heard a voice speaking to him again.
You have been selected to participate in a very special experiment.
The voice said.
Bullshit. Welcome to the CPR matrix of utter bullshit. Bullshittery. Bullshit. Bullshit.
The voice said. John tried to run, but he found that his legs wouldn't move. He was trapped in the dark, digital world. Suddenly, the servers began to glitch and flicker, and strange inhuman creatures started to appear out of the shadows. They were half machine, half organic, and they seemed to be after him. They were his team. John ran for his life, dodging the creatures and trying to find a way out of the digital world. But every time he thought he had found a way out, he found himself back where he had started again. He was trapped, and the creatures were closing in. As the creatures grew closer, John realized that they were trying to steal his computer code. They were trying to hack it, which means, guess the password. The same code that he'd spent years developing and using. He tried to resist, but he was powerless to remember against the machine. The creatures took his code and left him lost and alone in the digital world forever. John woke up in a cold sweat and feces. He was feeling more alone and scared than ever before. He knew that the dream was just a liquid nightmare, but he couldn't shake the feelings that he was being watched, and that his code was still at risk. He realized that he needed to take a break from his work and find a way to cope with his stress before the wet nightmare consumed him. Okay, before we move on to the finale, I will now explain what really happened in Algeria. Though, through careful research and working hand in boot with MI8, once upon a time, there was a man named Jonathan who was always on the lookout for new and exciting experiences. One day, he stumbled upon an advertisement for a computer programming operative job, with the prospect of working in Algeria. Well, as soon as the external stimulus of this job hit his cerebral cortex, all Jonathan saw in the advert was the abbreviation CPO, and was immediately intrigued. Jonathan saw this as an opportunity to live out his dream of being a tough, no-nonsense security professional. However, Jonathan had one major problem. He had no experience in security or protection, but that didn't stop him from applying for the job. During his interview, Jonathan impressed the hiring manager with his confident bullshit and charismatic clown confetti, and he was offered the job immediately. Excited about his new adventure, Jonathan arrived in Algeria and started his job as a computer programming operative. But it wasn't long before he realized that he was in over his head. He had no idea how to use a firearm. He was dumped in the desert, and he was completely lost when it came to basic security procedures.
They give you a handgun. I never fucking fired a gun in my life.
But Jonathan wasn't going to give up that easy. He quickly came up with a plan. He told everyone that he was actually a psychic medium, sent to Algeria to use his special abilities to protect his clients from spiritual threats. Jonathan figured that he would use his charismatic clown confetti to bluff his way through the job, and he was right. For the next 2 weeks, Jonathan spent his days fixing computers and performing mundane tasks, but at night, he regaled his clients with tales of supposed psychic powers. They were completely fooled, and Jonathan was having the time of his fucking life. Eventually, the truth did come out, and Jonathan was forced to leave Algeria and return home. But he always looked back on his time as a fake psychic medium, dodging bullets and grenades with great fondness. And he never forgot the lesson he learned about the powerful art of bullshittery. Now, before I go, I'd like to leave you with this movie plot I've been working on. It's called The False Protector. The movie follows the story of a con artist named The Callous, who poses as a psychic medium and swindles people out of their money. However, when he meets a wealthy and influential businesswoman named Miss Hoover Muncher, he decides to take his deception to the next level. The Callous tells Miss Muncher that he has been working as a close protection officer in Algeria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and has the skills to protect her from serious harm. Miss A. Muncher, who has been receiving death threats, hires the Callous as her personal bodyguard, and he quickly becomes a fixture in her life. When Miss Muncher's enemies come after her, the Callous's lack of training and experience quickly become apparent, putting both their lives in grave danger. With the help of a military veteran and a real genuine psychic medium, the Callous must confront his own lies and find the courage to protect A. Muncher and come clean about his true identity. Along the way, he discovers that his fraudulence has been affecting not just A. Muncher, but many other people in his life as well. As the danger grows and the stakes get higher, the Callous must face the consequences of his actions and learn the importance of honesty and integrity. In the end, he must make a choice: continue to live the life of deception or embrace the importance of becoming a better person and make things right through the admittance of all sin. Will the Callous be able to turn his life around and protect A. Muncher? Or will his lies and fraudulence finally catch up with him? False Protector is a thrilling tale of deception, scamdemnation, and the power of really shit and stinky lies. Love and bloat.